Ahoy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another meeting of the Pirate National Committee. Uh, this is your captain, Jolly Mitch of the Chicagoland Nye, the Illinois Party, the Illinois Pirate Party, captain of the United States Pirate Party, and as always, a friend of the show. I will go around and ask for IDs in the order in which I see them. And the first person I see is Blaze.
Blaze Henry, Arizona captain and United States scribe.
Thank you. Lily.
Lily Boyd, co-captain Young Pirates USA.
Thank you. Mars.
Mars Bale, National Webmaster, and Ohio Pirates.
Thank you. David.
David Hall, co-chair of Florida Pirate Party.
Thank you. Wanda.
Wanda Ward, Florida Pirate Party, and the U.S. Pirate Party Lookout.
Thank you. Joe. Joe has ID'd in the comments. Thank you, Joe. James.
James Wynn, North Carolina Pirate Party.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Rowan.
Rowan Tipping, alternate representative for Illinois Pirate Party.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for being here. Before we get into business, anticipating, hopefully not a long one, but anticipating it may be, I just wanted to say that the Pirate National Conference is less than a week out. June 6th will mark 20 years of the United States Pirate Party. We will be live from Boston, Massachusetts. If anyone who cannot make it to Boston is free to attend online. We have the signups on our website. We will have our itinerary, our guest speakers for Saturday, events we will be planning for Sunday. I'm currently working on a program for Jamie, and I will hopefully be able to have something for him. If not tonight, I will be working on it first thing tomorrow morning. And otherwise, 20 years of pirate. We made it. How exciting. And speaking of making it, I saw two more member states filter in. So real quick before we get going with anything else, Jester and then Joel for your IDs.
Ashley Melody, the rep for the Indiana Pirates.
Thank you. And then Joel, go ahead.
Joel Lightfoot, rep for the Maryland Pirate Party.
Right on. Thank you kindly. All right. So first thing I'll do is ask, are there any reports from states, candidates, or committees? Blaze, go ahead.
Well, we actually got a lot done this week, a whole lot. First thing first is a report from our last Wednesday meeting. Basically, we declared a winner for our t-shirt contest. As many of you probably seen the announcements, Jane Gardner, the one with the boat, won. So we're looking forward to that. And following into that, we're working on trying to establish our merch store for Arizona specifically. So we formed an IT committee for Arizona Pirate Party, and our last our first IT committee meeting was this Saturday. Wanda and Mars were there to witness it all in its glory. So we got the first steps into getting that, and yeah. Second, and another thing is that we worked on a healthcare plank platform, and we voted on to approve the healthcare plank form, and we're going to soon have it added to our platform.
Right on. Thank you, Blaze. All exciting news out of Arizona. And let me say that t-shirt was won by the rightful winner. They, the two entries that were hand drawn were both fantastic, but the one that actually did win, I am looking forward to owning a shirt with that design on it. It's fantastic. So thank you, Blaze. That's all exciting news. Joel, go ahead.
So in the last week or so, we have we tested the old website, found out that it really wasn't going anywhere. So if I clicked on contact, I wasn't getting, it wasn't going out to anything that I could use. And so we launched a new website that is marylandpirateparty.blog. I've already published the first blog entry, which I also sent to the message in a bottle. But we also set up an email address, and that's right on the website, so that you can email us directly at piratepartymaryland@gmail.com.
Thank you, Joel. And for the record, your new website, the .blog, is already updated on the About section on the Pirate Party page. So anyone who is interested in visiting the Maryland Pirate Party website, the .blog website is already in the About section of our uspirates.org website. However, for gigs and shits, I might just put it in the description as well. So right on. Thank you. And I believe that was Lily then Joe.
I just wanted to give an update from Young Pirates for what's going on for elections for officers. We're currently planning on next Tuesday to have a meeting for nominations for our officers and then having an election the next week. So that's all going to be handled internally, roughly around the same time as the PNC board elections.
Fantastic. Thank you. And let me just say, Lily, as co-captain, you've really taken the reins. You've really done the work for two people, and I don't mean that figuratively. So I want to say thank you for all that you've done for Young Pirates, and thank you for putting together a coherent youth organization. It is exciting. Joe, go ahead, and then after Joe, I'm happy to see someone show up, and we'll get their ID in a second. But Joe first, go ahead.
I was just going to say that we were shoring up the itinerary for the conference next week. And so we picked out a couple of spots to go eat, one of which is very economical. Economical for Boston, that is. And that Jamie will be going down to the space to figure out final setup sometime this week, as well as go warn them that we will be invading the U.S. Constitution. So it goes as smoothly as possible.
Right on. Thank you, Joe. And I did get a big banner. So we do have a United States Pirate Party banner that has, vote pirate, the website, and then victory is ours. Which, by the way, Vermin Supreme came up with that. Slam dunk. That was the best thing that came out of working with Vermin, was the phrase "victory is ours." Thank you, Vermin, if you're watching this. Which, by the way, Vermin Supreme is an accepted candidate for vice chair. Blaze, a big opponent for you. But I tell you what, if all things considered, Blaze, I know who I'd like to be my vice chair, or Eli's vice chair, because I do have an opponent. I'm not walking into re-election. But understand that no matter what, I think we're going to be in good hands. And that said, I want to jump into our guest, Liz. Can I get an ID, please?
Sure. Lindsay Angorski, New York.
Fantastic. Thank you. Welcome back.
Mhm.
Now, actually, since Liz is here, I don't want to actually waste her time. I'll ask real quick, is there any other reports from committees, candidates, or states? And if not, Wanda, I ask if you, because I assume you were going to be the one to make the motion anyways, if you could jump into that one. But first, before we go into that, Lily, go ahead.
There's a report from Platform Committee. Can that go after you deal with Liz?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So then, Wanda, if you don't mind, if you could, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't. Liz, you're never being dealt with. We are happy to work with you.
Of course.
Uh, uh, Wanda, if you could, if you wouldn't mind, making the motion for Liz, and we could knock that out, and we can rock and roll.
Motion to appoint Liz Gorski as our interviewer for USPP officer interviews.
Is there a second for the motion on the table?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Anyone have any comments, questions, concerns?
Can I ask a
Rowan.
question? I know I'm what you call it? I wasn't here at the last meeting. So what is the exact position, or what does it entail?
So this is simply a position that is essentially the not vetting process, but an interview process, just to make sure like you are a serious candidate. You didn't just put your name on there for yucks, that you know what you're getting yourself into. You're just, I don't want to say passing the vibe check, but it's passing the vibe check. That's all it ends up being. It's every year we will elect someone to do this, and who better than Liz?
Sounds good.
But that's all that ends up being. Thank you, Rowan. Joe, go
Thank you.
ahead.
Liz, as the only one to kick me out of office, I think that
That's a way to
you
put
are, huh?
it. That's one way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. The one person to ever kick me out. I wanted to say that it is wonderful to see you as part of this process again, and I am hoping that you would be a part of the Pirate Party more moving forward. And how are things looking in New York?
Oh, well, as many of our friends here know, there's been a ongoing situation. It's very funny. It got funnier this week. Um, However, to put it bluntly and very flatly, my housing is currently in danger because of it. Things are looking very good for us. But until that is settled, and until my job situation is improved, I can't really commit at this time. Um, I want to. Like I want to. There's a desire that, unfortunately, the last couple times I tried to set up meetings, it didn't go so well. Could have been for a couple of other reasons, why. Because maybe one time I forgot about my own meeting. But there's a lot of things in the air, and it's not things aren't ideal, but they are progressing, they are getting better. Um, don't mess up on your taxes. Don't mess up on um, you know, your financial responsibilities, and maybe there will be problems for other people that other people have to solve. Rich is laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's been a thing, and we thought the job situation was about to get better, and then my landlord did landlord things, and yeah. So, but
Well,
the desire's there. It's just the time.
I don't mean to pry, and
Mhm.
obviously you can share with us what you want, but I totally understand having to step down and step back in order to take care of more important things. And I think that's why, because you have such a level head on your shoulder, you've always represented us very strongly and very fiercely. And so I'm just glad to see you as part of the process again. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. Mhm.
As am I. And Joe, I always love the spirit that you bring. So thank you. And the sentiments are the same. We are happy to have you back, Liz. And there's no pressure to come back. We know and this goes for everyone who's listening, everyone who's watching. Excuse me. Uh the Pirate Party does not come first in your life. You come first in your life. Your responsibilities, your needs, whether it be mental, physical, financial, whatever the case may be. You will always come before the needs of the United States Pirate Party. We will understand. We will make do, but do not put yourself in a position to where this party is a hindrance to the things you do in life. This party is meant to be a fight for the good cause, and you're supposed to, and it's not always a great feeling coming out of it, but it's absolutely a worthwhile feeling coming out of it. And
Mhm.
I've been here for Liz. That email I sent you the first time was dated March of 2018. So I
Yep.
think I've got my time spent here that I don't regret a single minute of it. And eventually, I may be in a position to where I can leave you guys off with a party, and I think I could do that now, but I don't want to do that now. I want to stick around for as long as I can. So, forgive me for gushing. It's just nice having Liz back. So actually, let's not waste any more time. Is there any more questions or discussions for Liz on this matter? Wanda, go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that like she does need to like accept the nomination, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah. Liz, do you accept that said
Yes.
nomination?
Yes, I
Okay, yeah,
accept
right
it.
on. Yeah, I guess that is a formality we should have covered first. So thank
Yeah.
you, Wanda. So with that being said, the nomination has been accepted by Liz. There was the motion and the second and the acceptance of said nomination. There has been discussions. Any more discussions, or shall we call the vote? Joel, go ahead.
Are there any other candidates?
Right now, I don't believe there are. Did you wish to nominate someone else?
No, I was just asking.
No. No, yes, there are no other candidates. But Joel, if you're for those of you who may be unfamiliar with your pirate lore, which how'd you get here if you're not familiar with your pirate lore? Liz's former captain, perhaps the best to ever do it. So if there's anyone that's gonna help us, make sure everyone passes the vibe check, it'd be Liz. So uh any further discussion? Blaze, go ahead.
I would like to make a call for a vote.
Thank you.
Second.
And the second for the call for the vote. You know what? I think I'll do roll call because there's not a lot of people here today. I'm having fun. Arizona,
Aye.
Maryland,
Aye.
Ohio,
Aye.
Massachusetts,
Aye.
Illinois,
Aye.
Florida,
Did you call Indiana?
Indiana.
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. And that is unanimous. So thank you. I didn't miss anyone, right? That's all my voting members. Texas didn't get skipped. Texas ain't here. Good. Liz, congratulations. You have the
Yay.
burden, I mean, the pleasure of vetting everyone who is nominated.
Awesome.
Which, easy peasy.
Yeah.
That there's for anyone who got nominated that now have to go through Liz, you're fine. Don't worry about it. If you're not a malintended actor, if you're not a bad actor trying to do bad things to the party, I think you're gonna be a-okay. So thank you, Liz. Yeah, thank you
She
kindly.
might not bite you.
Might not.
Might not. Right on. That business settled. Is there Wanda, I know you said you had a lot of business today. So did you want to jump into whatever or I know Lily, you also had a platform business and you did ask can we get into this as soon as this matter was finished. So I will jump into Lily and then Wanda, I know you wanted other things to get tackled tonight, so you'll have the floor as soon as the business with platform is finished.
So at the most recent platform committee meeting and the one prior to that, primarily what was worked on is a plank for markets and economy that deals with a few various things related to markets and economy, but primarily it's so that there's a plank that a position for prediction markets can fit into, since it didn't really fit with any of the existing planks. And it was moved for, if I can get the text for it, it was moved for a plank to go to PNC.
All right, so this is a platform plank that the platform committee is proposing to PNC.
Yes.
All right, markets and economy.
And I put it in the Jitsi chat.
Thank you. In fact, let me see if I cannot. I probably can. I can. I'm going to copy this and paste it in the YouTube comment section so people can see what it is. I will paste it in pairs because it's well over the cap limit, but uh, I will let you guys read that over. And while you guys do that, feel free to raise your hand and ask any questions. Mind you, this is not a motion to adopt at the current moment. This is simply a proposal handed to us from the platform committee. To adopt it, there would need to be a motion to adopt in a second, yada, yada, yada. But as of right now, there is nothing against simply reading this. Also, hello to Doc Agnew, who's in the chat. U.S. congressional candidate for Ohio District 5. I'm currently trying to paste it, so apologies for my radio silence at the moment. I'm just trying to get this in. Wow, that was next to nothing once I finally deleted everything. That's not good.
We're sorry. We wrote a long thing.
Yeah, thanks for looking at all the other platform planks and thinking, nah, that's lame. I'm gonna do a big one.
This is why we were telling Liz the other day we solved politics.
The one thing I'll say is just like for folks who at least want, like, just make sure to read it all, and if there's anything that does pop up, mention it, because that's how in the committee
Yeah,
meetings.
that's really what we want here is
Yeah.
input. Do we need to work on this
Yeah.
more? Do we think this is good to potentially adopt?
It's good to push back.
You know what? I will withhold comment until you guys start making comments. She'll go ahead.
So one thing that stands out to me is the $15 minimum wage. We have $15 minimum wage in Maryland, and as a small business owner, it almost bankrupted me. Having to pay, a high school kid who doesn't know how to sweep, a living wage, it's going to destroy small businesses. We're either going to have to pay a living wage to all 7 of our employees, or we're going to have to fire them all because we can't make ends meet and do work ourselves for 90 hours a week. And it's just not feasible I don't think, and that's just my experience because I've seen it take a toll on me personally. I've seen other businesses in my area that have closed because they just can't make ends meet if they're paying $15 per person. And I mean, honestly, if we're expecting a living wage to be paid to every single worker, it doesn't really account for the fact that not every job is a full-time head of household kind of job. So that's my 2 cents.
Mars, go ahead.
So, okay. I mean, I do get where you're coming from. I just also want to bring up the fact that, I mean, even a high school kid who is, I'll lightly say, not so bright, I mean, some of these kids are taking care of themselves. Some of them are working entirely because they're not being supported at home. I mean, they can't work full time because they are working around a full-time schedule already with their schooling. I mean, paying a living wage is honestly the bare minimum. I mean, I say that as someone who makes the minimum tipped wage. And it's not a living amount at the moment. So I feel like raising this would at least allow for, people to be able to afford basic needs like food and water, shelter, and all that fun stuff.
Uh, Jester, I know your hand was up first. However, because Mars is responding directly to Joel's comments, I will, since Joel put his hand up immediately, I will ask Joel if he had a response to that. And then as soon as Joel's out, Jester, then Rowan.
Sure. Let's keep in mind that minimum wage, and I'm a little older than most people here, but minimum wage when I graduated high school was roughly the cost of a meal at McDonald's. You know, a one person meal at McDonald's. That right now that's true in Maryland because it cost me almost $15 to get a meal at McDonald's. If we raise the minimum wage across the board, the prices just go up. That's just a fact. McDonald's is going to raise their wages and cut jobs by 60%. I'm a small business. I own a rage room here in Maryland, and if Maryland's minimum wage continues to go up, which they're talking about, we just won't survive. Or we raise our prices by 60%. I'm in the entertainment industry, and we just close our doors. We can't raise our rates. But places that can take advantage of more money in your pocket will, and they'll do it as soon as they raise their hourly wage to pay all of the, backroom workers and frontline workers. They're going to raise their prices by whatever amount they did, plus whatever they want for overhead, because they are going to make a profit on it. So it's just something to think about.
Thank you, Joel. Jester, then Rowan, then Blaze.
So maybe this is me being a bit off topic, but I would like to point out that part of the problem with, as you said, small businesses having a difficult time paying, higher minimum wages is partially due to our car-centric infrastructure, encouraging consumers to only go to big box stores and corporations and whatnot. So I do think, maybe this is me being a bit crazy here, but I think any conversation on, small businesses and their ability to pay workers also needs to include, are we making the best infrastructural plans to encourage local businesses, or are we or is our infrastructure prioritizing the needs of big business over small? And that is my 2 cents on the issue.
Hello. I believe that is Rowan, then Blaze, then Joe. Thank you, Jester.
Oh, I just wanted to say that, like, in this, especially on the subject of $15 an hour, the minimum wage, I can see both sides of it. I could see, of course, like, we should strive to have a society where a day's work is enough to live with. Like be able to afford rent, be able to afford groceries, be able to afford all the bills you have to pay. But I also can see the perspective of, like, I have a family member who owns a small business, a small restaurant. Well, two now, but it was originally three. But anyways, in Louisiana, and like he's not been, with different factors of employee, wages increasing. It does make it hard for small businesses. So I can understand it from that perspective of the financial hardship it is for small businesses. And I think there's got to be like an in between. So I think while we're discussing our two perspectives, right? Like, oh, we need a living wage because I can't be able to afford to live off this, which that's a fair point. And the other perspective being like, I can't afford to run my business if I have to pay like everyone this much. If there's like a middle ground we can find, because I feel like we're just going to go like person by person, and one person's going to be there or there. And I think if we want to have this conversation be productive, maybe we should try to suggest what we could change the wording to make it more meaningful or more powerful for both sides involved in this argument. I'd say that's my 2 cents. Just to find, like, if someone has suggestions of rewording it, then we're getting somewhere.
Thank you, Rowan. Also, my immediate suggestion, just looking at it, because it took me quite a few breakups to send that entire message in the chat, is that less is more. But that said, uh, Blaze, Joe, Wanda, Liz, I believe is the order. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I know Blaze and Joe are the next up for sure.
This is merely a thought, but how about for raising minimum wage, we carve exceptions for small businesses and only apply minimum wage high, like we set a certain limit to separate between big businesses and small businesses and how much revenue they make. And it's like if you're under this amount of revenue, uh, the minimum wage increase doesn't apply to you. But if you're a big business, then minimum wage increase does apply to you, or something of that sort, just to make sure that while minimum wage still increases, but for small businesses, it wouldn't be so crippling. This is just a thought. I'm open to refusals.
Thank you, Blaze. And in all this, because we have a lot of hands up, I just want to throw out there how much I love Jesse Ventura's maximum wage idea, where that you wouldn't pay a cent in taxes until you make your millionth dollar, and then at 1,000,001, you get paid 90 cents on the dollar. Because he said, if you're working 40 hours a week, I don't care if you shine shoes for a living. The government shouldn't have to subsidize you so you can live, which is true. If you're working a full-time job, if you're working for the Waltons at Walmart, who cut your hours at 59 hours and then don't give you your benefits, or where, and they're, every member of the Walton family is a billionaire, and yet their employees have to live on government subsidies. That therein lies the issue. We do have to understand, and to the point of the small business owners, and I'm about to get one next with Joe. It's that, you know I've heard arguments on both sides. I've heard accusation of like petty bourgeois, and I've heard accusations of, like, we're just small business owners, we're trying to survive. And frankly, I lean more towards the latter. A small business owner and the Waltons are not the same people. A minimum wage law for the Waltons aren't going to put them out of business, but it could put an escape room out of business. So that's just for what it's worth. I thought bringing up maximum wage was worth bringing up just now before we move forward. And Lily, you did mention that it's kind of a rager. I apologize, Jill. But just something to consider. But I believe the order is Joe, Wanda, Liz, and then it's a toss up between Mars and Jester. I genuinely cannot remember, and it'll be a
Jester
handshake
was
between you
first.
two. Thank you, Mars. So then Jester, Mars. So Joe, go ahead. The floor is yours.
So I would just have to say to you, Joel, I have to respectfully disagree. Inflation is the taxation of savings. And so, in order to combat the savings for those economically disposed, we generally raise the minimum wage, which then causes that ripple effect that you're talking about. However, there are generally things in place in order to help small business owners. And that is something that in this type of legislation, we should be promoting entrepreneurial programs specifically for those. If you're having a tough time finding, most city halls have a office of development office specifically to help the small businesses of their communities. So if you're running a rage room, you should go down to your city hall and they should have somebody who is there to help you thrive. And if they don't, then I will personally find somebody to help you, coach you, help you thrive. There are all sorts of grant money awarded to small businesses like yours. And you could probably, I can show you the grant listing boards, and you could probably get grants in order to make everything work and make everything happen. And I'll be more than happy to help you find mentors. And I think that one of the things that we really have to push is the small business owner, because if we want to take down corporations, most jobs are held by small business owners. And so the small business owners really are the turnkey to taking down these corporations. They are the mom and pop shops, the businesses that run a rage room, run their idea that become the next great thing. Because we never know where the next great idea will come from, and so thus we must promote all the great ideas that we can when we have them.
Right on. Thank you, Joe. Liz, then Jester, then Mars.
Yeah. So going along those lines, I think that possibly this smaller business would be there are certain protections that happen for larger businesses, like oh, I can't think of the big one now. When you need medical leave, FMLA. FMLA doesn't apply to businesses that are of a certain size. I think it's less than 50 employees. Um, so maybe there could be like a stepped minimum wage if, part time. I don't like making that so specific, but under X amount of employees, the minimum wage is this. If it's more than that, then it's a higher minimum wage. I mean, there still needs to be some consideration for, livability, because that's what minimum wage should be, the minimum you need to live. That's why it was established by Roosevelt. But I mean, maybe there is like some way to adjust for that for I guess a micro business, so to speak. Mhm.
Right on. Thank you, Liz. Jester, Mars, then Lily.
So I think part of I think what we could do here potentially, or we could have as policy, and this is where I tend to disagree on the idea of providing, a certain, if you have a certain number of employees, once you get above that certain limit, you get taxed harder, or you have to have a higher minimum wage at your position. I think that's going to introduce problems with the one moment, sorry. Sorry about that, family member. So I think what we could do instead is encourage, instead of trying to encourage business, you know, well, how do I phrase this? I think that by just making it so that larger businesses have to pay more is not going to encourage more people to shop at local businesses, which is part of the problem. We instead should actually tax or make a higher sales tax at businesses that are like at franchise businesses. So, for instance, you could tax McDonald's locations higher than, say, the little mom and pop shop over at the corner. Or we could also do something such as encouraging, making it so that there is a more of a financial incentive at the local level to encourage local businesses and give them advantages over larger businesses. But outside of that, just making a rule of, at a certain number of employees you have to pay more is just going to make it more difficult for other businesses. It's going to make smaller businesses not want to expand, and it's still going to have the same problem of consumers are wanting to go to the big box store because they can pay less for the same amount of goods versus going to a small mom and pop shop. And that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Jester. Mars, then Lily, then Wanda, then Rowan.
So I think the idea of tiered minimum wage won't work simply for the fact that that would probably be done through the FCC and, taxes
Well,
and,
that's
all
the
that
wrong
fun stuff.
agency.
Hmm.
That's the wrong agency.
Wrong agents. Yeah, no, the IRS. You're right. Anyway, uh, but it would be done, probably through the business end where it's based off of, either their revenue or the amount of employees. But that would most likely just cause those bigger businesses to make really shady decisions that put people out of work in order to meet the requirements of a quote unquote small business so they can pay their workers less.
Thank you, Mars. It's going to be Lily, Wanda, Rowan, Joel. However, I just want to throw out there, and again, I already said less is more. But one of the things that I think is important for a political party is not to nail down precise laws. And I mean, there can be certain things like, oh, we will repeal this. But there are certain things I think would be best left up to the pirate candidate as to say, well, here's my interpretation of the answer that the pirates, or the diagnosis of the pirates. Here's my answer to that. I just throwing it out there. I'm not trying to I'm not invested in this conversation in the sense that I don't think that we're going one way or another at the moment. I think truthfully this will end up back in committee, but not because it's bad. I just think that we're speaking so much about where we all stand on this one. I think that if and when it returns to committee, it's going to be, strengthened tenfold. But I just wanted to throw it out there. But the order is Lily, Wanda, Rowan, and Joel.
I just wanted to bring up some justification for that figure and why specifically a number is chosen rather than just saying that we want to raise the federal minimum. If you don't include a figure, it doesn't read very strong. And we, and specifically Wanda, I think in committee thought that it was pretty weak. And I definitely agree with that. It's weak just to say we want to raise the wage instead of tying a number to it. And if you are to adjust the inflation adjusted peak for minimum wage in 1968 to current real dollars, you get around 1532, which is lower than what we're proposing. And similarly, if you look at productivity growth, it's well over double that compared to the peak. And if you look at the Big Mac index, this isn't even enough to cover the Big Mac index from 1980.
Thank you, Lily. To be clear, I do completely understand the rationale for the using the numbers when it comes to specificity about the minimum wage proposal. My counter simply being, why not a maximum wage proposal? That's my terrible Ventura impression. It's Wanda, then Rowan, and then Joel, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, first things first. You could have been there to propose that when we were discussing this in platform committee. You were more than welcome. You're still more than welcome, but I wanted to throw that out there because it
To,
was something we discussed.
yes, and to be clear, I could have if I was not working my job. However, lucky for me, my shift should be switching soon, so I can be in attendance for hopefully as many committee meetings as humanly possible. But I apologize, Wanda. You may continue.
Um, Furthermore, we were quite firm, if I remember correctly, when we discussed this in platform committee about the figure we chose here. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rowan and Lily. Um, and I understand that there will be other people in platform committee eventually who can help contribute to this, but I just have a hard time seeing us getting anything through if we're watering this down.
Thank you, Wanda. Rowan, then Joel.
So I'll first say, like in response to Wanda, like yeah, during the committee meeting, we were kind of the figure wasn't as much of a it was pretty solid amongst us. But I feel like the importance of having these committee meetings and then bring them to the PNC is having this kind of discussion. So I will say while I think the figure is not actually a reasonable figure, but I'm also from a different state. So sorry, I wrote this all down because I literally was trying to organize my thoughts so I can actually respond properly. But I just thought about it. Mitch, originally you said that sometimes less is more, and I agree that to a certain extent what we proposed is quite long, and that could be a point of improvement most certainly. But I also think that, and this is something I mentioned in the committee meeting, but I think I'll mention it now too, just to like put it in the air and see what the feeling is. Like I think I agree. Like you said, oh, we can have like missions. Like mind you, it's not an exact figure, but we pirates are striving to make sure there's a livable wage, right? A minimum livable wage. And then because states, I mean, I know it doesn't differ greatly, but I do believe this the dollar has a different value in different states. Like if you're living in the middle of the city in Chicago, Illinois, versus like rural West Virginia, a dollar will get you either less further or more further depending on where you're at, right? And so I now that like that's in mind, that's something that's I'm thinking about. But in short, like if it's the number that's the issue, if that's what the point of contention is for some people in the PNC, I think that's something that can be discussed. And I actually will agree with Juana in saying that you should come and join these committee meetings, because it will make it much better for us if we have these different perspectives in this committee meeting to have a more diverse and solidified final product, because I could tell some people are not exactly happy with this. So yeah, agree with Wanda that please try to attend these committee meetings if you feel strongly about these things, but two, that there is a solution if the numerics is something that's a point of issue, or the number.
Thank you, Rowan. And then for the record, either Wanda or Lily, can you guys please state for the record what day and time platform committee meetings happen?
They happen on Tuesdays. I'm not either of those people you called on, but they happen on Tuesdays. Were we having them
10
at
p.m.
9 or
Eastern.
12? Oh,
10
somewhere
p.m.
in
Eastern
between. Okay.
currently.
9 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. And is that every other Tuesday or is that every Tuesday?
I think that's
Currently
every Tuesday.
Perfect. Thank you. So, those of you who are watching at home, if you are interested in joining or working on the United States Pirate Party platform, if you are looking to join the Pirate Party Platform Committee, we host meetings every Tuesday at, we just said 10 p.m. Eastern
I believe that's the case.
Correct.
on Tuesdays. Thank you kindly. Which, to be clear, thank you, Rowan. To be clear, like I said, my job as I'm currently scheduled does not permit me to attend such committee meetings, and I'm sure that's not a dissimilar story for many people. However, do what you can. You know, obviously the pirate party is always moving. There's always a slot for you to fill in. And if you can't make certain things, you know, the committee room is always available. You can always make a suggestion. You could always, you know, talk about a meeting after the fact. And while you may not have the entire committee sitting there during the meeting, the next time they sit there, they will see your message and they can implement that message in the agenda for that day's meeting. So you don't have to be there live and in living color to contribute to the platform committee. But it'd be helpful. I think the only person left is Jill. So Jill, go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to say that what Mars was saying is about companies trying to change their policy to fit into the law and to take advantage of it is something that we saw when Obamacare came out. So Obamacare comes out and we're all super happy that there's going to be this exchange where we can all get affordable health care. And then the policies on the website cost about $2,500 a month or a year. And we're all kind of like, what? That doesn't seem as affordable as the one that I'm losing. So all of my healthcare premiums went up to meet that bare minimum. And at the same time, the requirements for having healthcare available if you worked over, and I think the number was 40 hours a week, you had to provide healthcare. They just cut everybody's hours. Companies all over the United States cut people's hours so that a lot of people who are right now, and a lot of you guys are struggling with this still, having to work two jobs because you're not going to get benefits. They're just not going to keep you, employed long enough to get benefits, so that you have to go work two jobs just to make ends meet. And you have to work. You don't get a choice to work 39 hours at one job and 20 hours at another, because nobody's providing your health care. So you've got to work enough at the second job to cover your health care. Which, and I don't think it was an intended consequence. I think it was it was something that just didn't think through. And they didn't expect, businesses to respond by cutting people's hours and dropping people off of policies, and people who are then making too much to afford the low end on the ACA. And if you don't have health insurance at the end of the year under the original ACA, it was a $2,500 fine at tax time. So there was a lot of problems with it. It wasn't the way we want it to be. So again, I like the idea of less is more. We want to talk about improving the living standards for people without, right now, I don't think, our plank is necessarily the place to put a policy in place. But I hear you. The platform committee is discussing it, and I got to tell you that I'm absolutely loving this discussion. The fact that we can all get on here and disagree vehemently, but respectfully, is freaking awesome, and I love it. Thanks.
It is my favorite feature of the Pirate Party, truth be told. Rowan, Jester, your hand was up. Did you still have a comment, or?
Other than just pointing out the part of the problem with the rollout of the ACA was due to the Democrats deciding to negotiate against all seeming logic with the GOP, which then made it so that the ACA was rolled out not by the feds but by the states. Meaning, if you were in a state that didn't like the ACA, you were basically screwed. I'm not even kidding. That's part of the reason why the ACA was not very affordable in red states, was because red states deliberately sabotaged the effort to kill the ACA.
Right on. I mean, not right on, but thank you for.
I say in a state that was affected by that one.
Yes. Thank you, Jester. And now, Rowan, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to highlight on the point to the fact that these discussions are important. And so I appreciate that we're having the space and time to talk about this. And I'm betting that this is going to go back to committee. So just a reminder again that, especially if you have a diverse perspective, for example, Joel, I appreciate your perspective. We need people who are gonna not just be like, oh, yep, yep to everything. We need people who are gonna say, oh, actually, here's my perspective. Here's why I disagree based off my personal experience. And so, yeah, just keep giving that, because I'm reading, I'm hearing it, I'm taking notes on it, and I'm not saying I fully agree with you either, but the fact is, I think that's how we're gonna get to the final product or the final plank.
Thank you, Rowan. And I see no hands left up, so I will ask, is there a motion to what to do with this? Shall it be tabled for next meeting? Shall it be sent back to committee? Shall we vote yay or nay on it now? Joe, go ahead.
Motion to return committee with special input from Joel's perspective.
Seconded.
Do I have any discussions, objections, anything?
Can we do a roll call vote on this, please?
Absolutely. I will ask, though, is there still any discussion or question? And then if not, I will call the roll call. All right. Right on. Indiana.
Aye.
Thank you. Maryland.
Aye.
Thank you. Ohio.
Abstain.
Thank you. Massachusetts.
Aye.
Thank you. Florida.
Nay.
Thank you. Well, the yays have it. This will return
Did
to
you
committee.
call Arizona?
Nope, I did not. I apologize.
Or Illinois.
Or Illinois.
You're so fake. No, I'm joking.
My apologies. When you guys talk, it starts shuffling my screen and I lose track of you. Arizona.
Abstain.
Thank you. And Rowan.
Aye.
Thank you. The A's still have it. So it will return to committee. Thank you. That takes care of that business. Wanda, I'm sure you had a few things you wanted to mention, so I will give the floor to you for your next piece of business.
First order of business, motion to extend the deadline for the end of California's probationary status to Sunday, June 7th. Currently, the deadline is the 3rd, which is not a meet date.
So you are. May I
I'm
counter? Obviously, I cannot make any adjustments or whatnot, but may I please counter with a push to the 14th, since that will be the return meeting?
I mean, if you want to.
I only ask because we will not be having a PNC meeting at the conclusion of the conference. So I just feel as though if we are going to push a deadline to have a vote or whatever, it only would seem fair. Because I agree with you on your stance that the 3rd falling in the middle of the week is a weird time to have it go up. But if we're going to extend it, I would just suggest that it is extended to the 14th, since that will be the day that we all meet again.
Alrighty, I can change that to the 14th.
Thank you. So there is a motion on the table to extend California's probationary status until the 14th.
Second.
Go ahead. There's a second from Maryland. Thank you. Do I have any discussions, objections, anything? I will unanimously ask, is there any objection? In that case, the motion passes. So California will have until the 14th to get everything corrected. When we meet on the 14th, their status will be voted upon. Right on, Wanda. Thank you. Wanda, I'm just gonna keep asking you anything else until there's nothing else. So anything else?
Reset the stream.
Good call. Let me do that right now. Okay. We are back. All right, Wanda, go ahead. What else do we got cooking today?
So a concerned member, I honestly don't remember who, approached me about Trump's slush fund. I believe it was for the January 6th defendants. And I wanted to ask if the Pirate Party would like to make any statement on that, or if we could I'm not making a motion right now, but if it would be fitting for us to have a motion condemning Trump's slush fund.
All right, there's an inquiry on the table regarding a condemnation of the slush fund for the January 6th folks. Most neutral term I can think of. Joel, then Rowan, go ahead.
As it already failed in the House, I'm kind of against making a statement at this time, but if it gains any sort of momentum, I'd certainly be willing to rediscuss.
And for what it's worth, I'm willing to outright condemn the idea that he even suggested it. If this ends up being a failed motion that isn't going through anyways, we can fairly easily openly condemn the fact that he would even suggest such a thing. But Rowan, go ahead.
Actually, well, I agree with what you say first, Mitch. Even if it's not going through, it's actually the fact that it's even being discussed and proposed that's the issue. The fact that based on a position, an office you're in, you feel like you can benefit those who are aligned with you financially, especially. So I kind of lean towards making a statement out of respect for denouncing those sort of behaviors in public office writ large. So I think that's something we should consider. But I do see Joel's point that if it's not actually going to happen, maybe it's not mentionable. But I do think that on the other hand, the fact that it was even proposed is an issue in the first place. That's all I have to say.
You're muted.
You're muted, Mitch.
Fuck. So based on your proposal, Wanda, this technically isn't a motion on the table. This is just an inquiry into this. So we're simply just having a discussion. At any point, someone can make a motion in regards to this. But right now, we're just having a discussion on the topic as far as I understand what's happening. Uh, Joe, go ahead.
I mean, when your enemies are making mistakes, it's always rude to interrupt them. But I kind of am on Joel's side with this one, saying that we should conservation of our focus and energies should be key. So that way, we can really hone in on things we need to do.
Thank you, Joe. Uh, and actually, just on the subject of statements, Wanda, not to leak personal information between us, but you did reach out to me with another concern that I've been sitting on for a minute now in regards to a I suppose the what Wanda, what was the proper term? I don't know if you want to discuss it here actually, so apologize if this is in an inappropriate time, but you understand what I'm referring to. uh I guess the targeting or the genocide or the I don't know exactly how you want to address that properly.
I
But
don't really know how to refer to it, but I do know what you're referring to, the recent uptick in murders of trans women.
yes. Now obviously a flat condemnation of such a thing seems light. It doesn't seem fitting. I've been sitting on it, and it's not that I couldn't write something about it because I absolutely could condemn it with my full heart, full throat, and make sure that everyone knows how disgusted I am with the violence towards trans women. Seeing the uptick.
But the
But
question is, what can you say that's actually meaningful, right?
not so much that. I think it would mean more. We did have the message in a bottle letter from our transgendered pirates who just put out a letter of solidarity, but I think that, you know, is this another thing that we wanted, the our trans pirates to get together and work on a project for and make another statement? I feel like this is one of those things where I, as captain, can speak on your behalf, but I, as captain, can also give you a microphone and a megaphone and a pedestal and allow you guys to speak your minds, firmly on this and speak your minds. So I ask how you would like this approached. I personally, I think that would be, I think it's better in y'all's hands as opposed in my hands. But if you prefer it in my hands as captain, I'm more than happy to take on the reign. But Wanda, if you had a response to that, by all means.
I mean, I just wanted to say that we do have several of our trans pirates here at this meeting, and it might be good for them to speak on this topic while we're discussing it and to get their opinions on what our moves should be.
Yes, I agree. So the floor is yours for anyone. Uh, Joel, you raised your hand first. I'll let you take the floor first, and then Mars.
I just want to ask because not to belittle the statement at all. It's just not something that's popped up on my radar. Probably because my kid is in little league and I just play baseball more than I do anything of value. But what are the numbers looking like? Just because I'm unaware.
Wanda, did you have any numbers? Because I've noticed the uptick in terms of, instances being posted or being relayed. But I suppose there do you have a like compilation of instances, or do you have anything that we could, because I would also like to share that. I think that it's important to, show that this is happening.
Um, I I saw a post today that, or not today, a few days ago, that was like a list of the very recent victims. I don't really have actual statistics right now.
That's fine if you don't have them right now, but there is, Joel, for what it's worth. there is something that we can send you that does have I don't want to call it a list. I don't want to call it comprehensive, but it should at least provide an idea that there is some type of uptick of violence happening towards trans women. And for a party that condemns bigotry and a party that, has always been welcoming towards, trans individuals in general and every individual really, no safe harbor for fascists. It's the only people that we've ever said you're not welcome here. I think we should speak on it. Again, my whole concern is, who is the right voice to speak on it. But Mars, go ahead.
Well, I am, well, for one, not a trans woman. Two, was going to suggest, possibly more of a, self-defense sort of tactic where we're putting out info and resources, how to handle yourself in a situation like that. Um, it's kind of similar. Something similar that I've seen near me is my local coffee shop has these little bags for dealing with ice that basically had procedures and like a whistle, cards with the, what kind of things to say, knowing your rights, etc., etc. I think that, either something physical or something online that would be available for people to see, and something like that would be very, very good.
I can't help but agree. I know that in my time with the SRA, they would often post things that were more informational than anything, where they would try to provide people with the resources as opposed to just, saying I'm with you is great. But to your point, I do think giving some people something to work off of and say, hey, times are tough. Shit's rough. Here is everything we can do to give you advice to make your life easier, to help you along the way. I think that is invaluable. Also, Second Amendment, armed minorities are harder to oppress. Want to go ahead?
Just wanted to say I absolutely agree with you and Mars's points there. Um, and like I do think it would be good for us to have like a practical response to this, but I also do think it would be good for us to have a more emotional response to this, because I mean, it's genuinely a tragedy, and I feel like that needs to be stated.
100%. And to be clear, I think that any rollout to the point that Mars is making, to the point that I was making, to simply put out the statement of how heart wrenching this is, and it is heart wrenching. This is awful that it's happening. That it is. It's good to say I'm with you, but what are we doing to stand in solidarity with trans women who are actively being uh, I I don't want to say hunted because that seems so
Targeted.
vulgar, but targeted. Thank you. That is a much better term that I'm looking for. Uh,
I mean,
it's
I think hunted was vulgar, but it's also accurate, to be frank.
when you are seeking out a specific target. I suppose, how is that any different than hunting? That's it's killing for sport, and it's terrible, and we do need to make a statement about it. But I think the statement cannot be without resources that we can do and provide to those most impacted and those affected by it, which is,
Agreed.
I think, the whole point. But Joe, go ahead.
So I posted a couple of links to the chat. The first one was the UCLA's statement on it from a couple of years ago, which is a good sounding board to bounce off of. The second link was the U.S. Congress's a PDF from the U.S. Congress about the same matter. And then I just posted a link to the FBI hate crimes, which is where we can get statistical data for what's going on. It might be a little older, but um, that you can track trends and statistics right there. So, some good resources for us to draft a good statement on it.
Thank you, Joe. The resources are much appreciated. Uh, are there any other statements or any other comments or concerns? And I want to leave the floor open to our trans pirates, because I think that your voices in this are the most important in the matter. But for what it's worth, I think the consensus is re- turning around into we need to make the statement that we do need to make a statement. It's just how do we make this statement and what do we include in said statement? I'm still of the belief that the statement would be most powerful coming largely from our trans pirates. However, I will say or add anything that is asked of me to say as leader of the pirates. And again, I don't lead from a position of authority. I lead from the will of the people. And so whatever it is that ultimately we end up posting, I know it's going to be one of those things that I genuinely want to help people. I want people to look at that and say, that gave me something that I was really looking for, and it helped me get through this. And maybe that's a tall ask, but I don't think it's an impossible one. Rowan, then Jester.
Okay. I just wanted to, well, basically highlight your point. I think that with this tragedy in particular, that like if the condemnation is led by the trans members of our party, that I think that will, rather than trying, like, I agree, I hope, and I know that's what you're basically saying, but just I think having that voice lead and then us just be behind saying we're like here and we're also pirates and we stand with you, that's probably the best way forward. Because I can't speak on that. I mean, I can speak maybe on the statistics, but I guess what I'm saying is like I I don't feel like I'm the voice that can be the one leading that. And I don't think so in short, I'm just trying to solidify that I think that the trans members of the Pirate Party should be able to, they're not putting pressure either, but I'm just saying that I think we should take a step back and see what they have to say first and see where they want, which direction they want to take. And I think us discussing is a good thing, but I just think, yeah, just like I would if it was another issue for like a different, like based off different identities in our party. I just think that, at least in my mind, and again, I know my perspective's not like super strong in this area. I think having the trans members of our community lead on this and us backing them up and supporting in any way we can would be a really a good way, possibly.
Thank you, Rowan. Uh, and yeah, it's a matter of, I can speak on behalf of people, but when the people I'm speaking of behalf of can be lent a voice in the party, I would prefer it. It's the same way that I can make another statement condemning what's happening in Palestine, but much quicker will I allow Renine to make that statement, being Palestinian herself and being directly impacted by it. So it's just that is one of those things that I prefer the voices of the impacted to let their voices be heard. I can speak on, like I said, I can speak on things freely, but as captain of the party, I feel like my role is better suited providing voices. With Jester than Wanda.
I would be willing to begin a write up if we're wanting a message in particular. The only concern I would have is just I would want more voices in than just me. So maybe if I don't know if maybe you could do the add all or whatever just to see if we can get, or because I don't know if we have like a trans pirates tag or a user flag. So if we could just get like, something scheduled, just get more eyes on it so that those of us who are in the community and maybe don't want to publicly say it out loud could, be like, oh, hey, we're going to have a meeting or, just a roundtable discussion on like, say, Wednesday this week for everyone to get together and say their piece to each other while we're getting this written up. That might be a good idea. But it's rather difficult when half of the when a significant number of us are on this committee. You're muted, Mitch.
Fuck. Thank you. And yes, and to that point, I lost it. Whatever I was about to say, I lost it. Want to go ahead?
I was gonna say, like, I do find it like I do think it is highly valuable for our trans members to have a lot of input in what we say on this, but I also do think it would be valuable to have something from you, Mitch, with you being basically our leader here. Like, I know it's not a top-down thing, but, like, you do represent the party, and it'd be good to have something from you. That's just my take on that.
Absolutely. And I think that if it ends up being and Joel, to your point, message in a bottle is a synthesis. We already had a letter posted by a few of our trans pirates, and we put it under I believe the name was the collective pseudonym Iris Sappho. And correct me if I'm wrong about that. Uh, we could do that again. We can make it a more bold, not just something that gets lost in the message in a bottle. We can make a statement straight up. I can double post it so it's a message in a bottle and by the way, this is an important thing that needs to be said. However, we want to tackle it. However, I do think as many trans voices that can be heard on this, I want them heard on this. And I am more than happy to speak my mind on this, but I will not speak on behalf of everyone. Not that I couldn't. I choose not to speak on everyone's behalf when I have the opportunity to let the trans pirates speak on their own behalf, to which I could follow up as captain and provide my support and what I can do and my own condemnations and anything that I can add to it. And the one thing I'd ask is communicate with each other, because I know that not only together can you put together a fantastic piece, but I think you can find enough, you can pull together enough resources that would help trans individuals and trans women and those affected in general. Published name under Mary Reed. Thank you, Joel. Uh, uh, I think tomorrow during because that'll be the beginning of Pride Month. And I was gonna wish a happy Pride Month anyways. But Lily had asked as well if I can change the flag to the server flag to the rainbow server flag or the pride flag, and you bet. That's I actually agree with AJ, who was captain when it first got implemented. It's a pretty sweet pride flag for the Pirates. That said, though, I think during it I'll put out the calls, inviting any trans pirate, any to speak on the issue, speak on what's happening, invite them to do so. Maybe if you guys give me a time, I could say like during this day at this time there will be a discussion. And we could decide that whenever you guys decide it, I can make the announcement at any point tomorrow. It's going to be the first all day tomorrow, so you don't have to wake up and decide. If you tell me at 5 o'clock, which I'll already say, Happy Pride Month by then, but a second announcement isn't going to kill anybody. Uh, that said, I think there doesn't need to be any motion. There doesn't need to be any tabling. I think that this can move forward. However, if we wish to continue, if there's still issues or concerns about it, but I think that this is something that I want to send to, our trans pirates to begin and work on it so we can get this going. But want to go ahead.
Um, I did just want to say that I was sent this by an observer, and I do think it would be good to have us just on the record about this in our meeting. So I have a motion for the PNC to authorize a statement from Mitch condemning these murders, with him directed to consult trans pirates as much as possible and mention that consultation in the post.
Seconded.
Could you paste that comment as well so I can
Yeah, sorry, I do read kind of fast.
Yeah, just so I could read it as well as. Thank you.
Ooh, I accidentally left a question mark in there. That was not supposed to be there.
That's okay. But this technically would be a motion from Florida. Motion for PNC to authorize a statement from Mitch condemning these murders, with him directed to consult with trans pirates as much as possible and mention that consultation in the post. So that does end up being a Mitch is making the statement. And I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure that that is what we want. At least that's how I am interpreting the motion as it is written. But Wanda, then Jester.
I don't want to take this as me speaking for everyone. Like, people feel free to contradict me. The way I see it, I think we should have a statement from Mitch with consultation from other trans pirates around here, and also a separate thing that's written by our trans pirates on the same topic. I think it's fine to have two different things on this.
So I would take it then, assumingly, that my statement is its own separate post, completely removed from whatever statement the trans pirates make. And the trans pirate statement, I assume, would be another Iris Sappho post for message in a bottle. Is that am I reading that situation correctly?
That's my idea, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Wanda. Jester, then Joel.
I'm fine with that, in so long as I'm given like just a day or two to write something up real quick. Because if we're wanting to do that sooner rather than later, I just need a little bit of time to write something, and
Right
maybe
on.
consult with some of the trans folks to see what everyone's feeling.
Just know that whatever you guys do decide, the post will probably then be in addition to getting all the trans pirates together to write a second letter or the letter, in the regards. Uh, I will also ask, like, what do you want me to condemn? And I will ask that blanketly of, our trans pirates, where I say, as your captain, what is it that you want to see me condemn specifically? I don't want to leave any stone unturned. I want to know what is a sufficient condemnation towards this, because I know that it is awful, and I know that it is tragic, and I know that it is worthy of condemnation. But because it is so important to so many people in the party, and because it is a statement that is, I mean, it's deathly serious that the statement is correct, I don't want any missed notes. So I will put out tomorrow, in addition to trying to, gather the troops in order to make sure that everyone is, on board with writing the letter from the trans pirates themselves. I would like every trans pirate to message me, or anyone who has a trans relative to message me, anyone who's been impacted by what's been happening to message me, and just say, it would mean so much to me if you tackled this. If you don't mention this, I'll be heartbroken. If you do, saying this would mean so much more than saying this. Whatever the case may be, I want to hear the opinions of all pirates in the party, that are been impacted by this, or those that feel directly, angry about this, because this is something to be angry about. That said, Jill, go ahead.
With all that being said, I only have 2 points. One is I'd like to see this statement go out before the convention, and two, I kind of to your point, Mitch, I'd like to make sure that your statement is grounded in real stories, not in vague posts about maybe this is going up. There's real evidence, and we should definitely capture that real evidence in your statement. And if we can honor individuals who have been the victims, we should.
Absolutely. And for what it's worth, So I don't think that we can't get the statement out before the conference. But just a heads up, excuse me, just heads up to all our trans pirates, that is 6 days away. So if you all think you can get something written up in 5 days or less, I can certainly get as much intel as I can in 5 days or less, and I can get something posted. Uh, thank you. There was a second for this motion. Is there any objection to the motion on the table?
Which state seconded?
That was Illinois.
Okay. I
Uh,
just
s-
didn't remember hearing it. Sorry.
all
Seconded.
good. It was all good. So there is a motion for me to make the statement, and then there will be a separate trans statement or a separate statement from our trans pirates. And it will be. I plan on posting them on the same day. I want as much visibility on this issue as possible. So there will be likely my post and then the message in a bottle post. So the message in a bottle post will be the first thing that people see when they go to the website. Uh, Also, and this is not to blindside anybody, the next few days there will be like numbered posts where it's literally just like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna do my best to make sure that that's not crowding up the trans statement, because that is just in promotion of the conference, and the last thing I want to do is have anything buried. So just know that it'll be at the forefront. Rowan, did I see a hand up?
I was just saying, like, are you talking about like when you say number, what social media are you talking about?
What?
You said you were going to do numbered posts.
Yeah, so in the next couple days,
Is that like on?
like I think starting tomorrow after I post the in case you missed it, there will also be an article on the Pirate Party website that simply is the
Sorry.
number 5. And that if you go on the website or you click on the article, it'll again be like the number 5, and you click that and it'll take you to the sign up for the conference.
Oh, okay.
And so it's going to be something small like that, just again to try to help promote the conference a little bit. But I'm going to ensure that that is not burying, the issue at hand. I'm also planning a Spyglass article for after the conference, but I'm writing that now and I'm not announcing it until it's written. So, anything else we wanted to? Hang on. Was there any objection? Joe, go ahead.
Sorry, I was raising my hand for something else, not for an objection.
Right on.
Correct.
Well, in that case, I will say the motion passes. We will work to get this out before the conference. I believe that is doable. To our trans pirates in the room, I hope that is doable. If you need more time, uh, by all means. But I do agree with Joel that if we say something before the conference, holding a moment of silence in remembrance of what's happening, I think would be a lot stronger. So thank you all. Joe, go ahead.
So I just wanted to confirm that we are planning at the conference, because you brought up the conference, so now it's in my brain, that we will be starting Saturday at 10 o'clock at the U.S. Constitution.
Saturday, 10 o'clock at the USS Constitution.
Yep, that's where we're kicking everything off.
Fantastic. Well, I will be there, and I hope to see as many of you there. If you can't be there in person, I hope you're there in spirit or at least online. Wanda, go ahead.
I have a couple points. First point, we need to appoint a third member of the elections committee.
Yes, we do. So the former third member was Ty. We no longer have Ty. So it is currently me, Wanda, and myself. Do I have a volunteer for the third person on the election committee? Rowan and Lily, I see you keep raising your hand.
Sorry, I just have a question. I know it's the same question as previous when we're talking about sorry, I forgot my brain's a little blank. But what would this volunteer role entail? And like, because I would be interested, but I just want to make sure I can actually
It would be counting up the ranked choice votes. You would have to be, you'd have to look at every vote individually and count up everyone, as such. And if someone gets 50% plus one in the first round, they got it. If they don't get, if they get a plurality, not the majority, then they got to go again and eliminate last choice. It's not nearly as hard as it seems. But if you're interested in it,
Yeah.
Wanda is familiar with the system. I'm familiar with the system. Uh, but also, if we got Wanda and Rowan and Lily, I'm about to call on you. And if you want to volunteer,
Okay.
I'd be happy to step away if need be. But I'd also be happy to stick around and make sure, if you guys need any assistance
Okay.
with it.
Well,
To
yeah.
clarify,
I'll throw
I'm
my hat
pretty
in the
sure
ring.
the election committee is at least 3 members, not at most 3 members.
Okay, fantastic.
Well, I'll throw
Well, in
my hat in the
that
ring.
case, all right. Thank you.
I'll,
So that is Lily, go ahead.
I was just going to volunteer, but you mentioned ranked choice, but it's specifically, isn't the election conducted via the Schulze method?
I was going to bring this up actually. I was going to ask if you're familiar with that method, Mitch. Is anyone here familiar with that method? Because I genuinely don't remember us ever actually doing that correctly. Because I started doing research into this and I'm like, this is way more complicated than what I ever remember us doing.
Let me see. Because I believe the conference election ended up being slightly different than when we are simply filling in a vacancy. Which of course the conference has been a little more complicated ever since the 23 conference when the rules got changed. Uh, that said, the Schultze path is a single winner ranked choice voting rule. So it is ultimately still ranked choice voting. It's just Schultz method ranked choice voting.
But it's more complicated than what we typically do because I think what we've typically done has been I don't know if it's I don't know if it's instant runoff voting, but I'm pretty sure it's instant runoff voting is what we've done in the past, even though that's not what we're supposed to do.
Well, I would say that
You still take, for Schulze method, you still take a ranked ballot. It's just the method that's used is significantly more complicated if you have many candidates. It does have certain useful properties.
well, if I'm not mistaken, the only election rather that's going to have like a plethora of candidates is going to end up being state moderator, and that's with 3. Because everyone before that, and again, my statement that I'm making right now is assuming Blaze wins vice captain. Is Scribe will be a 2-person race, as will Treasurer, and then Lookout will be the first 3-person race, unless Furman comes out on top. So there is no race that is more than 3 people. However, one day the race may be more than 3 people. So I would suggest, actually, because we're discussing this, I would love to perhaps go back to maybe not the way that we used to count up the votes, where it was just simply the state parties that voted, but we could definitely explore other ways of tabulating votes and counting votes if this ends up being a process we're not fans of, because it's nothing that's been around. We're not changing established norms.
Well, I mean, I don't mean to interrupt or contradict you here, Mitch, but I believe this has been in our bylaws for a very long time, and it's just something we've not been following.
I don't believe so, because elections previously were a simple state vote, and it got changed under AJ because AJ wanted the Discord to vote on the board. So I think the bylaws change is newer.
Let
Uh,
me look at this because I feel like this is something that we were early adopters of for some reason.
Joe, would you happen to have any input? Unfortunately, Liz is gone, so I can't ask her about this. But
When we
Like
did it back in the day, we would
in
just
the
do it by
Wikipedia
state vote.
article
But then again, state
for
vote was all of us. So, and I'd rather have it just be the state vote. Otherwise, why do we have it by state committee?
it certainly was something that I remember Jamie fighting hard that it should just remain the PNC members voting on the PNC board. Uh,
Yeah.
but and again, it was an AJ change, which was 2023. Uh, and then following the change, he resigned. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a fan of the change. He used it so he can win the election and then resigned. I'm not going to sit here and defend this. So again, it's 6 days out. It's too late to change now. However, it's certainly something that we can look to move away from in the future.
What does the bylaws say?
Wanda, do you have the bylaws in front of you?
I had it in front of me 2 seconds ago. Give me a second. Uh, do, do, do. Bylaws. Election. See here, the election procedure for an officer position shall be as follows. Officers shall be elected by Shoals method via silent ballot. Representatives to the PNC shall be eligible to vote in the election. Prior to the election, the PNC shall elect an election committee of at least 3 persons to supervise the silent ballot and independently calculate the results.
That's right. So to be clear, right now we have an electoral college system because we still do let it be the states voting ultimately. The states right now, though, when it comes to it, just vote to confirm the results. Uh, it's inefficient. Let's change it next year. But again, let's change it next year. Uh, but yeah, that is the system that's been in place. Luckily, a lot of our elections are just two-person races, so they're easy to tabulate because it's just whoever gets the majority. But it it is kind of complicating things where it doesn't need to be complicated. Uh, I said my piece. That
Yeah.
said, I do have myself, Wanda, Rowan, and Lily all volunteering to be on said election committee. And anyone else who wishes to volunteer is more than welcome to throw their hat in the ring. But Joe, go ahead.
I mean, I think the reason why we made it more electoral college is only for the fact that we were afraid that we would get spammed on our elections by third parties. It was more of a precautionary. So, just depending on how we do it, we could put in for next year that we have it by tokens, and each person gets emailed a token who is a voting member by popular vote.
And again, I do. Thank you, Joe. I do want to reiterate that it was never a problem with people spamming votes when the states just voted on it. Want to go ahead?
I just want to say that the Shoals method being our method of tabulation is in the bylaws since at least 2021, back to the earliest archive of the page, because there are apparently no archives before March 5th, 2021.
March 5th, 2021. Would that be a Rose motion?
I mean, based on Wikipedia, it suggests it's been in there since 2012. On the article for Shoals method itself, there's a citation of our bylaws where they're mentioning that we use the method. And it says 2012 in the citation, but when you click on it, it just goes to our current bylaws. It's not an archive link.
Well, let's continue this discussion starting on the 14th because this
No, 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 no. This is
no.
important now.
All right.
We need to actually conduct our election according to the bylaws if we're going to do it differently, because this method is quite specific from what I was reading in the Wikipedia article, and I don't know how to do it, and I don't think any of us know how to do it. So if we're going to do something, we would at least need to
I
suspend that section so that we
Jamie
can
knows how to do
use
it.
IRV or something.
Joe, go ahead.
Sorry for speaking out of turn. I apologize. But Jamie definitely knows how we were doing it, and I will force Jamie to be there.
Right on. And wanted to be clear, I'm not suggesting not running it. My suggestion has been it's too late to change it now.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm
But
simply
what I'm saying, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but what I'm saying is that I don't think we know how to do this. And so we need to either figure this out, suspend the rule, or find a third option here because otherwise we're running afoul of our own bylaws. And that's just something we can't be doing.
very true. Lily, go ahead.
I wanted to say for young pirates, I looked into this because we stole that part of the bylaws, and I should be able to run the Schulze method for stuff. And it's been in the bylaws since at least uh, April 13th, 2013, or not 13th, 10th, 2013. So it's been there for 13 years at least.
That sucks. Either way. Either way, Lily, you say you know how to use it. So Wanda, would that be sufficient that Lily says they know how to use it, or would you still like to move forward with a
I think that's
suspension of the
fine.
rule? Okay.
I think that's fine. I think Lily should just we should all have an election committee meeting before we conduct the election so we can figure this out together. Since Lily already knows, Lily can help us figure this out. I'm fine with keeping it as is until now. If that's the case, I just want to make sure we're conducting this properly. I know I'm being a bit too much of a stickler for the rules here, but we have the rules for a reason and we can't just break them willy-nilly. You know?
Absolutely. And I appreciate you standing firm on it. Genuinely, thank you. Joe, go ahead.
Motion to send this to committee to have it formulated before the conference.
Motion to have what form? You talking about the bylaws change before the conference?
No. Motion to have a committee to get this hammered out officially, so that way we can have it be prim and proper as per one.
So essentially, so right now we have the election committee to actually count up the ballots. You are suggesting a committee to review the process and to actually come up with the proper terminology and what we're looking for.
I am most tired, so I'm sorry if I'm having trouble formulating thought, but to have the election committee review the bylaw in order to assure accuracy. There we go.
All right, there's a motion on the table. Rowan, go ahead.
Oh, I second that. Sorry. Yeah, I second.
Right on. Well, could I ask the current election committee to at least begin exploring this before we ask for an expansion after the? Well, Joe, was it before the conference you wanted this hammered out, or did you want this to just be
Yeah.
hammered out?
No, I'm saying to motion to have this hammered out so that we follow the bylaws, and that way proper time is allocated to get this done and done right, as according to our bylaws.
Okay, thank you. And to that point, election committee, I will meet up with you guys, whatever is the most ideal day to meet up. And we can discuss this. We can go over examples. We can put in a mock ballot if we really need to and learn how to count it properly. But ultimately, we will work together on this. We will meet before the actual conference to discuss. Excuse me, Wanda, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I don't believe a motion for this is necessary here. I think this is something the election committee is already working to hammer out. The only thing I would say we should probably do is set a firm meeting time so that we don't dilly-dally all week. So Mitch, I feel like you have the most schedule constraints out of anyone on the committee, to be honest. What time works for you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm usually available in the morning on most days before 1:30 Central. On Thursday, I'm flying out, or is it Friday? Friday, I'm flying out, which means I'll be available until about 2 o'clock. So anytime during the day, if we really want to get this hammered out in the evening, I'm more than happy to call in with a tummy ache. That said, though, we are, as been David rightfully pointed out, we are quickly approaching 2 hours. And now, folks, I know we are trying to knock everything out before this conference, but let me ask, is there anything else that we wish to discuss today? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Want to go ahead?
I'm sorry, but we're not quite done yet. I wanted input from other people on a specific time. I think we should set a specific time here and now so that we can hold ourselves to it. I don't want this to be a problem.
Okay. I am putting in the comments my availability, and you guys just let me know what is the ideal time, because
Friday. What about you, Lily? Because I'm free just about any time except for
Give me a
Friday.
second.
you said you're free any day but Friday, Wanda.
Yes, I'm working Friday and Saturday, but by Saturday I don't think this will be relevant.
Well, let me simply ask then, Lily, would you be available tomorrow before 3 Central?
Yeah, I'm free between like 9 and noon Central.
Right on. I will set an alarm to be up bright and early, and then I will just be on the watch. And when you guys are ready, or if you guys are ready, or whatever the case may be, I will jump right in. But why don't we do it tomorrow? And you said between 9:30 and noon Central. Is that what I heard?
Sure.
Right on. Uh, how does 11 a.m. tomorrow Central time sound?
Can I suggest 11:05 just because 11 is my usual wake up time and I take my meds and I just want to have a little bit of time to throw myself together? I'm fine with 11. I want like those 5 extra minutes.
Wanda, I'll even give you 11:15.
Whoa, be careful, y'all.
Yeah, you take those 10 minutes. I'll throw them your way.
15.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Alrighty,
well,
sounds
they Wanda wanted 11:05, and I'm saying no, take 11:15.
Oh, I said tomorrow I'm completely free. That was, well, it'll be the truth because my commitment tomorrow's probably more flexible. But yeah,
11:15 a.m.
tomorrow.
works for you, Rowan.
I'll make it work.
Right on. I don't think it should take too long. We should just get together and knock it out.
Yeah.
Wanda, is there anything else keeping us here?
I did want to give some state updates real quick for Florida. The Florida Pirate Party met this week. We ratified the recent change to the bylaws regarding quorum, and we nominated our officer positions. You can guess who. Um, that's about it. Motion to adjourn.
Hell yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And is there any objection? I will not entertain a roll call.
Stop.
I'm hearing no objection. Folks, June 6th through 7th will be the 2026 Pirate National Conference. Hoist the colors and spill the tea. 20 years of pirate. We will be live from Boston, Massachusetts, aboard the USS Constitution. I'm not doing the dance. And we are going to be celebrating 20 years of the United States Pirate Party. You don't want to miss it. And if you do miss it, show up online because you have that ability to do so. It is a hybrid conference. And it'll be the last conference for the next year. What, you want to wait a year? Come on, show up to the conference. It's going to be fun. Folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And since Drew is not here, Wanda, do you know I love this party?
Why you love this party, Captain?
Golly, I love this party because we believe the United States should be a good neighbor. We believe in cool, clean water, like Hank said. And we believe that if purchasing isn't ownership, then piracy isn't theft. Folks, uspirates.org, sign up for our conference. Thank you so much for joining us. Vote pirate, and victory is ours.